Hey everyone, welcome to the Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It is Monday. It's July 21st. It is 2025. We have a 10-game MLB slate to talk about here on today's podcast. Hope everyone had a fantastic MLB All-Star break. It was a really busy week for me. Spent some time with the family. My daughter did a camp for volleyball, and it was a really busy week. So excited to get back on the grind and get back into the baseball grind. I played a little bit of DFS on Friday, but ready to get back into the betting streets, and getting back on the morning grind is always fun. So what's up, chat? Derek, Yeezy, Brent. Listen, I always feel very refreshed after the MLB All-Star break, because like you grind out the first few months of the season, and then like you're like, all right, nice little break. Let's get back on track. So that is exactly how I feel coming back on the podcast today. I was going to come back Friday, and then Thursday night was just insane for me. So it just wasn't happening. Just wasn't happening. So let's get into some baseball. I feel like, I feel like I haven't talked baseball in so long. Let's get into it. We're going to start with the Yankees and the Blue Jays. This game has 8 total. It's a pick'em game. It's Rodon against Gausman. We'll start with the visiting Carlos Rodon. So, I mean, when you look at this spot for him, he has a 28% strikeout rate on the season. He's done a really good job of limiting power to both sides of the plate. His walk rate is a little bit higher, but the changeup that he developed in the offseason has really helped him with right-handed hitters. Like last season, he had a 220 ISO with a 340 WOBA against righties. This year, 150 ISO, 275 WOBA against righties. So massive upgrades for him against right-handed hitters. And I bring all that up because, I mean, this lineup is going to be 7-8 righties deep. I assume they get Barger in the lineup, but outside of that, they probably go very right-handed heavy. That's what they did against Robbie Ray on Sunday when I was looking at the research for this game. So you look at the matchup, and the top half of the lineup, Bichette, Vlad, Springer, Clement, they've been very good against left-handed pitching, low strikeout rates. But the bottom half, there's some strikeouts here. So it's tough. It's a tough spot. 10K is, the highest priced pitcher on the slate. We have DeGrom in this same price tag. So I think like top end pitching, it probably comes down to DeGrom or Rodon. I think they're both really good plays. I wouldn't necessarily talk you off of either one of them. I do think DeGrom has maybe a slightly higher strikeout matchup. Going to the other side of this game, we got Gausman. Gausman's strikeouts are up a little bit this year. His fly ball rates are up, or his fly ball rate is up. His ground ball rate is down, which is never a great sign when you're facing the Yankees. When you're looking at this lineup against right-handed pitching, Stanton adds more strikeouts to this lineup. Jazz being back adds more strikeouts to this lineup. You look at it, and the top half has a lot of power, a lot of upside. The bottom half, not as much power, but less strikeout upside. So it's really a tough spot for Gausman as well. I don't like Gausman as much. Pitching on the slate is very interesting, but realistically, if we're looking at it, Gausman recently hasn't been awesome. He has one really good game against the Angels where he had, I think, 8 or 9 strikeouts. But outside of that, he really hasn't been like lights out dominating. So probably going to pass on Gausman. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'd sack the Yankees in this spot. I think if you're going to pick on Gausman, it'd be with like Judge, Dominguez, Stanton. Maybe like Bellinger, like those types of plays. And on the Blue Jays side, I mean, like I said, the top half against left-handed pitching is not bad. Springer, Vlad, Bichette, Clement. The pricing on the Blue Jays is, I don't think it's cheap enough for me to get excited about playing hitters against Rodon. So overall, probably a spot I will stay away from bats. I think that we have much better spots. Gomber against the Cardinals and Coors definitely stands out. We'll talk about that game here in a little while. Angels and Mets is where we go next. 8.5 total here. Mets it looks like a 199 favorite in this one. Anderson and Singa pitching against. I said pacing. Too much NASCAR thought, right? Anderson and Singa facing off against each other here. We'll start with Anderson. I mean, Tyler Anderson at this point of his career, below average strikeout pitcher, getting absolutely crushed by left-handed hitters this year, which is very interesting if you look at his overall stats throughout his career. So I don't want to play Anderson in this spot. I think this is a stay-away spot, and we'll talk about a couple of these bats when we get to the other side. And then Singa here, he's 9,300. Like the strikeout matchup. He's had some really decent games here recently. His strikeout rate, a little bit lower than it was last season, but again, last season he really didn't pitch very much, so it's hard to kind of judge by that. He came back last time out and threw 67 pitches, so if we give him like the 15 pitch increase, we're looking at like 80 to 85 pitches. I don't think he'll necessarily go over that. Maybe 90. I think I'd put like 90 max for Singa here, like if I was trying to project his pitches. So like I said, before he got hurt, he was pitching really well. I expect him to come back and pitch well here with a hamstring injury, so I'm not too concerned. I'm way more concerned about when guys like have arm issues. So I don't mind Singa in this spot. The Angels, they obviously have a lot of power against right-handed pitching, but they strike out at one of the highest clips in baseball. Second highest, 25.4%. So you like the strikeout upside. You just hope that this ballpark, Citi Field, helps keep maybe a ball or two in that gets hit hard. So don't mind Singa. Just again, a little bit pitch count concern, but it was hamstring and not a shoulder, so should be okay. As far as the bats for the Angels, Singa's done an awesome job at like limiting right-handed power this season, and that's a lot of what this lineup is. Trout, Ward, Adele, Soler, Neto, like they're just all right-handed power bats. So in this ballpark, in this matchup, I think I'll stay away. So I don't mind picking on Tyler Anderson in this spot. It's not like the Mets are awesome against left-handed pitching. Like they don't have a ton of great right-handed hitters in this lineup. I don't mind taking shots on Vientos. I expect his numbers to be better. If they hit Nimmo leadoff in this spot, I like him. Anderson has really struggled lefty-lefty, and Nimmo is good enough to win a lefty-lefty matchup. Obviously, Juan Soto is good enough to win a lefty-lefty matchup as well. Soto is expensive at 5,800. You kind of are hoping that Pete Alonso is back in the lineup in this one, so you can make like a nice little three-man stack more than anything. I think he got, wasn't it like a thumb or something? It's not broken or anything like that, so he could potentially be back here. They might give him a couple extra days, but the matchup that I really want here is I want Nimmo hitting leadoff at this like mid-range price tag lefty-lefty, because that is, again, that's where Anderson has struggled this year, and we want to take advantage of the struggles anytime we're looking at these types of matchups. All right, San Francisco at Atlanta, 9 total. Braves a 133 favorite. Birdsong and Elder facing off against each other in this one. Go visiting team first, like I typically do. Birdsong, he's been really decent against righties this year. I've talked about this, I feel like, a lot. I know some of the stuff that I talk about gets repetitive, but that's just baseball. But Birdsong, really bad against lefties, really we'll call him decent against righties. I think with like Profar being in this lineup, Olsen, Baldwin, Ozzy, they have Harris. Like, I think there's enough lefties in this lineup that I don't want to play Birdsong against the Braves here. The other side of this game, Elder. So, Bryce Elder is a below average strikeout pitcher. He's really cheap. He struggles with power to both sides of the plate. The Giants get a huge ballpark upgrade here going into Atlanta. Looks like the weather's going to be hot, which is always good for hitting conditions. So I think I'll stay away from Elder. I just don't see a lot of upside in this particular matchup for him. There's been times that I've played him this year, but I think this is a spot I'll stay away. The Giants stacks, one of my favorite stacks on the entire slate. Jung-Ho Lee, Ramos, Devers, Adames, Yaz, Chapman. I like this matchup a lot against Elder. Like I said, big ballpark upgrade. They're on the road. And they're not overly expensive in this one. So I like the Giants a lot. I think that Devers at his price point, again, as a Red Sox fan, I'm like salty on the whole Devers thing. And then like I read a report the other day that like he was supposed to work out with somebody at first base, one of the coaches, and never showed like with the Giants. I'm like, maybe the Red Sox made the right decision. So my initial thought is to be overweight on the Giants. I really like this spot for them. The other side of this one, like I said, I really like lefties against him. So I could see, I mean, if you're going to play the Braves lefties, you just throw in Acuna and Ozuna in there. So you're looking at like, I think you could play a full stack here. Baldwin's price really stands out to me. Olsen and Acuna. Ozuna's price is cheap. Profar is cheap. Should hit up towards the top of the lineup with Riley out. So Albies is 3,600. I think Harris is really cheap. So this is a game that I think we're going to see quite a bit of offense early. And I think it's a game that you can take advantage of. I was trying to look at the line really quick on this one, because Hard Rock is not always the same. So 9.5 on the Hard Rock app. What's the first 5 innings in this game? 5.5. Oh, yeah, kind of right where I thought it would be. Chicago White Sox at Tampa taking on the Rays here. This game has a 9 total. The Rays a 222 favorite. We got Burke against Baz in this one. Definitely check the weather. I live in Florida. It rains every day right now, so just kind of throwing that one out there. We'll start with Burke. Burke, below average strikeout pitcher, really struggling with fly balls. That is a huge issue for him. Brandon Lau left the game on, it was Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember what I read. I think it was Saturday. Plantar fasciitis. I've had it. It's awful. It's not fun. I've had way too many issues with my Achilles. So I think this is a spot I'll stay away from Burke. He's a guy that you definitely want to target some home run hitters against, and we'll talk about that on the other side of this one. If the weather's okay, I think Baz has the potential to be pretty popular. The White Sox lineup, just not a really good lineup at all. They're striking out a ton. This lineup that they're rolling out on an everyday basis right now, a lot of strikeouts in this lineup. So I think there's potential for Baz in this spot. I hate chalky pitchers against the White Sox. I feel like it doesn't work as much as we want it to. But I do think that this is a spot you could definitely play him. Watch the weather. See what my good buddy Kevin Roth has to say about the weather. Best in the biz. Outside of like the White Sox bats, I don't really have any interest in the White Sox bats. against him. Where he struggles is like right-handed power. Robert just, I mean, he just doesn't have that right-handed power that you're like worried about. So I think this is a spot I'll likely stay away. And then I definitely want to pick on Burke. I want to chase some home runs here. I want to chase the upside. If Brandon Lau is back, I like that. But Camnero, Christopher Morel, Simpson is back. He is not necessarily a power guy, but he gives you 2 stolen base upside type stuff. So I think you're looking at the Rays today. If the weather is good, they're cheap enough where I think you could definitely get away with playing some Rays stacks. Kansas City at Chicago, 8 total in this game. The Cubs a 137 favorite. Yeah, 137 favorite. We got my boy Noah Cameron going up against Ryan Brasser. So bullpen game is what it looks like for the Cubs. My least favorite thing. So unless they announce a starter, we're going to go with a bullpen game for them. So, yeah. Trying to see if they announced who the long reliever. It doesn't say who the long reliever will be. So let's talk Noah Cameron. I mean, it's no surprise at this point if you've listened to the podcast that you probably already know that I'm a Noah Cameron fan. I don't necessarily love this matchup for him. The top half of this lineup is very good against left-handed pitching. Horner, Suzuki, Kelly, Tucker, Swanson. Like, they're all really strong against left-handed pitching. If Noah Cameron's not going to get any ownership, like, I always tend to play 1 or 2 lineups with him. I think that he's a really good pitcher. Just has really good stuff. I know it's a broken record, but I think he has really good stuff. So if you are playing like a 150 type build or a 20-inch max build, I wouldn't mind getting some exposure to him. Again, I just think, like I said, I think he has really good stuff. As far as the Kansas City bats are concerned, I hate bullpen games. For what it's worth. So, and like the Cubs bullpen is a top 10 bullpen in baseball. So like this isn't a bad bullpen game. It's not like we're getting a bullpen game against like Washington or the Athletics, like the 2 worst bullpens in baseball. So I kind of have to wait and see who I think the long reliever will be. They have enough lefties in this bullpen too. Like, I don't know. It's probably a spot that I'll stay away. With an 8 total night before in Wrigley, we're probably not getting awesome like weather in this game either. So I'll probably stay away. And then on the Cubs side, if you're going to play the Cubs, Nico Horner, Suzuki, Kelly, Swanson, don't mind like the lefty of like Kyle Tucker. But I've said this before, Cameron, with his like elite command, is a guy that can really shut down right-handed hitters. So I don't mind like taking some left-handed power against him. He has given up more barrels to lefties. So if you want to take like a PCA or a Kyle Tucker one-off and try to chase that home run, I don't think it's a crazy idea. All right, we got the Athletics going to Texas, taking on the Rangers, 8.5 total here. Texas, a 150 favorite. So I have seen a couple reports that say that it's lighter, but everything I've read says DeGrom's going to pitch in this game, so we'll go with him. And then Lopez pitching for the Athletics here, Jacob Lopez, lefty. So we'll start with Jacob Lopez. I mean, he has shown some really good strikeout stuff, and I think this lineup is very beatable with left-handed pitching. I think he kind of classifies as like that punt pitcher that we're potentially taking some tournament shots on today. I mean, if we look down here, I mean, there's just nothing that I really like pitching wise. So I think we take some shots on Lopez today. I think he's very capable of putting up 20 plus fantasy points in this matchup. He has faced this team twice this year. One was when I think he was in the bullpen and he pitched really well, and then the other one he started against his team or came out of the bullpen and did not pitch very well. He struggled with command big time in that game, and that's his problem. Like, he struggles with walks, but I really think that Jacob Lopez at 6,800 makes some sense here in tournaments. So don't mind taking shots on him. I think the strikeout upside is there. Be really interesting to see what his K prop kind of comes out at. I think if it comes out at like 4.5, I'm in. 5.5, I would really want to see plus money. Anything above that, I'm out. So just kind of something to keep in the back of your mind. Other side of this game, Jacob deGrom. Like I said at the beginning, I think deGrom is one of the best pitchers on the slate. Again, just elite strikeout to walk rate. Talk about it all the time. He's really good. He's not as good as he was like 4 or 5 years ago, but still a really good pitcher. Really like getting the Athletics out of, was it Sacramento, right? Isn't that where that ballpark is? Sacramento. It's so weird, but yeah. So I just want to keep saying Oakland, but I don't. So when you get this team on the road, I think they're much more beatable. I think deGrom can win this matchup. A lot of strikeout upside in this matchup, so definitely in play for me. Like I said, I think that deGrom has a little bit more upside than Rodon. Bats in this one, I mean, I don't really have any interest in the Athletic bats. If I was going to play, it'd be Rooker, Kurtz, Bangaliers, Soderstrom. Probably not stacking against deGrom, though. And honestly, when you look at the Texas bats against lefties, there's nothing to really get excited about outside of like Wyatt Langford. So I think like Langford is the guy that you'd be playing for Texas. His price tag looks really good on DraftKings. I don't have FanDuel up in front of me. I like the 4,300 over there. Yeah, I like that price. I think that price is super fair. Langford has, and he should hit leadoff too, which is nice. All right, moving. I feel like we're moving right along. I'm cruising today. Listen, I told you guys I came back from the All-Star break and I'm already in mid-season form. We got the Cardinals and the Rockies, 11.5 total in this game. Cardinals a 140 favorite. McGreevy against Gomber in this one. Michael McGreevy, I mean, we haven't seen a ton of him, but even like when we saw him last year, he just he's not a huge strikeout guy. He is a strike thrower facing a bad offense in a very hitter-friendly ballpark. Let's do a quick. I did not look at. McGreevy is a very talented prospect. I should have started with that, but I forget his pitch mix. So four-seamer, sinker, not good. Sinkers and Coors, not good. You don't get as much downward bite on sinkers. And sweeper. So like the matchup. If this game was in St. Louis, I'd probably play a lot of McGreevy. His pitches do not. He throws a lot of sweeper sinker combo. That is over 40% of his pitch mix. Those pitches do not do well at altitude. They're not going to move as much, and if he's throwing them 40% of the time, he's likely going to have to rely on fastball a little bit more in this game, which might not be good. My initial thought is maybe take some shots because he's so cheap and the bottom half of this lineup is so bad and there's so many strikeouts in this lineup. Probably stay away. The pitch mix is the biggest thing for me. We talk all the time. We talk about like Coors and how it's such a hitter-friendly ballpark. And one of the things that we talk about all the time is like what pitches get affected the most by altitude, and sinkers is definitely one of them. Anything that has like a downward movement. So like a sweeper is like a sweeping curveball. It's not going to break as much at altitude. So whether you like Trevor Bauer or not, I know people have mixed opinions on Trevor Bauer. His YouTube channel, when he was pitching in Mexico and he was talking, like some of his early videos, and like from a pitcher's perspective of like pitching at altitude, and like how his pitches, like how it took him so long to kind of adjust. And that's why sometimes we see when like teams come into Coors for the first game of the series, it takes them maybe a little bit more to adjust. And then when they go outside of Coors, it takes them adjusting because I mean the pitches are just different. So that's my baseball 101 lesson for the day. All that to say, I probably don't end up taking shots on McGreevy. If this game was in St. Louis, I'd probably play a bunch of him. Gomber on the other side here, no real interest in Gomber. I do like left-handed pitching against the Cardinals more than I like right-handed pitching against the Cardinals, but Gomber is not a good pitcher. I think it's just going to be hard for anybody to be a good pitcher in Coors, but he has a 11% K rate on the season. He's getting hit hard by both sides of the plate. A lot of fly balls, so I'm out on Gomber. Cardinals bats. Obviously, I like the two power righties at the top half here, Herrera and Contreras. You look at Herrera, his price tag is tough to swallow, but Contreras' price tag is really nice. Nolan Arenado going back to Coors. He knows how to hit in this ballpark for sure. He has a $4,500 price tag, which is nice against left-handed pitcher. I assume they try to get Jordan Walker in the lineup here. He hasn't been great against lefties this year. His biggest issue is strikeouts. So facing a low strikeout pitcher like Gomber, he gets a bump. I like a guy like Mason Wynn. He hits the ball in the gap here. It's a triple. He has stolen base upside. So someone like Wynn, when you're like thinking of Coors and how big this ballpark is, he makes a lot of sense. So that's what I'd be kind of targeting here. As far as the Rockies, I know on Friday I wrote up and I played McMahon, and he had a good game. It looks like he had a really good weekend just in general. It's really good to start seeing him hit. Ryan McMahon, one of the better hitters in this lineup, so I like his price. Moniak, if he hits leadoff, Beck. Again, that pitch mix looks really nice for the Rockies, so I wouldn't mind getting a 3 or 4 man stack here for the Rockies, even though I do think McGreevy has a lot of potential long term. It's more of a matchup ballpark kind of thing for me than anything else. Houston at Arizona, 9 total in this game. The Diamondbacks, a 156 favorite. We got Gallen and Gordon facing off against each other in this one. Colton Gordon first here. I mean, he has been a lead against lefties, and he's been awful against righties, which probably doesn't do well for him in this matchup, even though they'll probably leave Carroll in there. They'll probably leave Naylor in there. I think overall, though, you probably want to stay away from Colton Gordon in this one. The other side, Zach Gallen. I mean, this guy is just, he's hit or miss. He does have a much higher strikeout rate against righties, which really benefits him in this matchup where they only have 2 or 3 lefties in this lineup, and they're not very good lefties. So Zach Gallen at the price of $7,500, I think is a good tournament play here. Just overall, we saw him have 2 really big games right there before the All-Star break, and then get absolutely hammered by the Angels before break. So he's hit or miss. I like the platoon matchup for him here. Very right-handed heavy lineup, and throughout his career, Zach Gallen has been very good against righties. Giving up a little bit more power to righties this year, but the strikeout's still very similar to years past, which is always really good. As far as the Houston bats, I mean, if you're going to beat Gallen, you're going to beat him with power. They're still lacking power. There's not one hitter in this lineup with an ISO over 200 against right-handed pitching this season outside of Paredes. And Paredes is on the IL. Pena's on the IL. Yordan Alvarez, I know I read a report that he's trying. He started swinging. He's traveling, but they need him back, and he's just not ready yet. So, I mean, it just goes back to liking Zach Gallen more because there's just not a lot that I like from the Houston lineup. Again, when you're looking at Colton Gordon, you definitely like right-handed power. Suarez, This guy is crushing the baseball this year. I don't think people realize that Eugenio Suarez has 35 home runs on the season. So I like him. If Grichuk, Gurriel, these guys are in the lineup, I want right-handed hitters against Gordon. So any right-handed hitter that cracks the lineup here, I think is definitely in play. James McCann, maybe at catcher. I think I prefer some of the other catchers more, but I just, for my good buddy Derek Carty, I had to, mention James McCann, the lefty master there. That's for you. That's for you. That's for you, Derek. That's for you. All right, we got Milwaukee at Seattle. This game has a 6.5 total. The Mariners are a very slight favorite, -120. Woodruff against Kirby. In this one, very low total, and I agree with it. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. Brandon Woodruff, we haven't seen a lot of him. He pitched two times before the All-Star break. He's given up some home runs, but he has 18 strikeouts in those two games, which is phenomenal. Matchup against Seattle. Seattle has been really solid against right-handed pitching this season. They started the season and we're like, oh man, it's going to be awful. But they've been top 5 in WRC Plus for most of the year. They're 7th in WOBA. The power's down. They're 11th, but it's still, I think realistically for Woodruff, with what we've seen so far and his strikeouts, I think we have to take some shots on him. Didn't pitch last year, but man, the strikeout stuff looks awesome. They should bump up his pitches another 10 pitches here, so 90 pitches, probably very likely if he's pitching well. So I don't mind taking some shots on him. Other side of this game, Kirby. George Kirby, he's elite against righties. He struggles with left-handed power. And you look at this lineup, and it's pretty right-handed heavy most days. They can get Collins in there. Who am I missing? Yelich, obviously. I didn't. Frelick's on the IL. Trying to see, they don't have a lot of lefties. So if this lineup is very right-handed heavy, or if the lefties aren't great, I think you could definitely take some shots on Kirby. And Yelich, Kirby is more of a ground ball pitcher, so Yelich doesn't really benefit from this matchup either. Again, I think the total at 6.5 is probably right. I think this is a game that has the potential to stay very low scoring. As far as the Milwaukee bats against Kirby, like I said, you want left-handed power to beat him. I like fly ball pitchers against Yelich, so I'm probably out on this matchup for the Brewers. You have been able to chase some home runs against Woodruff. So if you want to chase a home run or two, problem is Cal Riley is so expensive. I think if you're chasing a home run, it's a Rosarina type of play, Canzone, those types of guys. Polanco. Cal Riley, I would probably give him the best chance to hit a home run in general this year, I feel like. So just, it's a price thing more than anything else. All right, finish it out. 10 games. We're at 34 minutes. I'm crushing it. We're crushing it, chat. What's up, chat? I love being back and seeing all of you that hang out all the time in chat. Appreciate you all. I do. I really do. Minnesota at LA, 9 total. Dodgers a 217 favorite. So Ohtani's going to start this game at pitcher, and then May is going to come in and pitch. So I assume Ohtani will throw a couple innings. You do not get points for Ohtani pitching when he's a hitter, for what it's worth. So not touching the May situation. I don't think May is awesome. And I hate this opener situations. David Festa is a good pitcher. It's just I don't think we want to play David Festa against Dodgers. He's done a really good job against limiting left-handed power this year, but it's the Dodgers lineup that's scary more than anything else. So Minnesota bats, if you are okay with losing in a bat against Ohtani, and you really want to attack the long reliever in Dustin May, I mean, I get it. Like, Dustin May is not great. I mean, if he's starting this game, we've definitely are picking on him. Really like left-handed hitters against him. So like Larnick, Clemens, Wallner, those would be the guys that I'd be targeting. But again, like kind of sacrificing one at bat against Ohtani. Ohtani, very good pitcher. He's looked awesome in the very limited that we've seen him this year. As far as the Dodgers bats, like I think Festa is Festa's above average pitcher from what we've seen. Dodgers lineup is always very good. I don't think you're going to get as much ownership on the Dodgers today. Ohtani, Betts, Teoscar. I know I saw Freeman. I was trying to see. It was a wrist injury. So he might be out of the lineup here. So I don't know if we want to play him anyway with a wrist injury. That's not one that I love. So we might get some cheap Dodgers to be a little easier to fit in like Ohtani. Betts, I know Betts hasn't been awesome this year, but the price for Mookie Betts at 4,400, always appealing. All right. Yeah, already done. Morning grind game. If you haven't already, though, if you are watching right now on YouTube, I think it says 28, 26 people that are watching on YouTube. It went down. All right, everybody, don't leave at once. If you are watching and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do that. Turn on notifications. Come hang out with us live. It all helps. Again, I do this show for free. Don't have a sponsor, so anybody that's watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Trying to get to 2,000 subs over there on YouTube. So youtube.com/morninggrind. All right, morning grind game under 8K to get 6 or more strikeouts. I actually think there's a couple options down here today. I'm going to go with Zach Gallen. The other one is Lopez. Those are the two that I think have the most potential for strikeouts under 8K. Over 8K to score under 15. The bust of the day. This one's tough. I think all these pitchers are very playable. The one that like just stands out to me more than anybody else is like a guy that I probably won't play a lot of is Kevin Gausman. Over 4K to hit a home run, not in Coors. I think we have some really interesting options, but I'm going to go Devers. Really like the Giants today. Talked about it when I was breaking down that game, but I think this is a really good spot for the Giants. So I'm going to go with Rafi to hit a home run today. Under 4K to score 10 plus points. I mean, I will say I take Coors out of this game. I don't ever pick Coors. I would probably pick McMahon if I was picking Coors for what it's worth. But I'm going to go... Man, I think I'm going to stay... I'm going to stay with the Giants and go Jung-Ho Lee to score 10 plus points today. I'll pick a different team for the stack to score 6 or more runs. I know I went a little Giants heavy there on the first two questions, but stack to score 6 or more runs. Let's go with the home state team. Give me Tampa to score 6 or more runs today. Noah Cameron Love, even though he has a tough matchup, I think Cameron is okay today. Like I said, if you're playing a bunch of teams, I think he's playable for sure. I prefer Zach Gallen and Lopez if I'm going to go cheap. And you all know I'm a huge Noah Cameron fan, but I think like Zach Gallen in this very same price tag with how good Zach Gallen is against righties, I prefer Gallen over Cameron today. That's going to wrap it up here for Monday. Back tomorrow, Tuesday, talking baseball. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Hope you have an awesome Monday, and I will see you again tomorrow.